Change my life, make it right, be my lady. Yes. Just working on a new dance routine for a 15-minute senior cardiovascular workouts. It's not only is a good cardiovascular workout with that particular piece of equipment, an extremely great investment that I made early 2020. It really, let me turn this off. We're not doing this anymore. And YouTube did not used to allow music to be played on YouTube's if you were not paying a licensing fee of some sort to play that music. I don't know where they are today. That was a long time ago. But having said that, we are live on Facebook that way. We are recording an episode of Dreaming with Entrepreneurs.tv in that direction. And that will be our source of information screen. Today, I'm very honored and proud to announce our co-host sponsor, and it is intentional. Actually, it's intentional.expert. And it is. It's been a project that's probably been 7 years in the making, but it all finally has come together in the last 3 weeks. And I was actually the driving force was me doing a conversation with David Emerlin, the author, and I suppose David and I have probably we've done at least a dozen videos together since we met on the internet in cyberspace in 2007. But I was having, and I mentioned it yesterday as I started posting that I think it was a 58-minute conversation that we had. As I started posting it, I was admitting that was a big moment for me, because I was totally embraced by this book and the thoughts and all the discussions I've had with David. I said that this one we had was actually our favorite, my favorite. I don't know about David's. And about 10 hours before David lives in Greece, and about 10 hours before we were to record, I had just gotten up. I was awakened 10 hours before we were to record by an epiphany. And as I have done many times in my life. And this time wasn't so bad. It's only about a 6 foot excursion. I bought the domain intentional.com. And quite honestly, I was surprised that somebody had not gobbled up that domain name already. And not only was I surprised by that, I paid $1.99 for the domain. It's I have never I've gotten almost that low, but that was the cheapest price I've ever paid for a domain name. And so I started to put together one of our web landing pages to create a a project where David and I would work the website. David, we're both going to provide content. David more so than I, because you really need to get into David Amerlin and how he thinks and what he talks about, because he has um, the foremost understanding and grasp of human behavior. And so you can imagine the enjoyable conversations we've had about marketing and sales, and how so very important human behavior works into a marketing and sales concept system. That's what we do. We build marketing and sales systems. So uh, I had actually the conversation I had with David was about 2 weeks ago, and it was actually I don't remember if it was Zoom. I did not produce the show myself on that particular one, as he has done many times in the past. My friend Scott Scowcroft produced that. I'm trying to think if we used his accounts. I think we used his account in Zoom. I think he just sent us a Zoom invitation. David and I had a conversation. Well, actually, I didn't have this computer when he and I had the conversation. Now he had this computer when he and I had the conversation. But at any rate, Scott worked on it, sent it to me, and then about 2 hours ago, I uh, pushed the button and published a web landing page uh, with the domain, with the URL of that's right. It's a domain and a URL. Interesting. Yeah, intentional dot expert. David Amerlin is the intentional dot expert in the entire in all of cyberspace. He's the one. So as I said, he and I have a discussion. The second video is each week David has agreed to provide some new content. Just him talking, as he does so often. He does a wonderful job of um, communicating his message on LinkedIn. I see he's got videos going there all the time. And then the third video on the web landing page will be uh, me alone. And I will, I've got some idea of what I want to do. I haven't made a commitment yet, but I believe, well, in our 58-minute conversation, I raised a point with David that one of my favorite ways to read a book, the only way I read a non-fictional business type book, is I read the table of contents, see what's going on. I go to the index to see what topics are going to be discussed, and I can then zero in on any topics I want to. But then a lot of times I don't have time to go from cover to cover to read a book. I made the same commitment to my friend Barbara Wellman. I do it every year, every November. And it'll be coming up this November. We do 1 hour conversation about the newly revised edition of her book that she's been doing for 25 years. But I told Barbara this, and I told David this in our discussion. David, you know, I believe the best way for, oh my goodness, the birds. What bird is that? Does anybody know what bird that is? My bird clock, the 25th anniversary edition of this clock just went off at noon. I saw this advertised a couple months ago, and I bought it. It's their 25th, literally their 25th anniversary, and I bought their very first edition 25 years ago, I guess. So I wanted to buy this, and I've had a lot of fun with this because I tried to make it an educational thing for my granddaughters, and I took it to New York with me when I went a couple weeks ago. But it went off in the middle of the night my last night there, and woke up at least my son and I guess some of my granddaughters, and my son said that the clock is banded from his house. So I brought it home. Anyways, at 12 o'clock, we listened to the melodic sounds of the house finch. I'm sure some of you out there knew that it was the house finch. So there's 12 different sounds, and I thought it would be cool to, because I've enjoyed being a bird watcher in my past, but definitely don't know. If I hear them, don't necessarily know what I'm hearing, except the owl. One time I was living for 3 years, I lived, and right behind a window in the back of the house was a forest, and right 6 feet from the window, 5 feet from the window was an owl, and the owl used to talk to us. Anyways, they open up on page 73 of Intentional and open up to behavior. Wow, how and that was not planned. That was not planned. I just did it. So I think what I'm going to do in the future, on a couple times a week, is just open the book, read a chapter and a paragraph from that chapter, a couple sentences, and bring it home to see how I might apply that learning, that understanding with the events and experiences that have happened in my life. That'd be kind of neat. Okay, that's what we're going to do on intentional expert. We're going to keep intentional.com as an insurance policy. But if anybody wants to offer $1 million for it, we might be able to talk. And yes, David, I will split the bucks of that. So it's today's sponsor. And what I wanted to also share today is because I've been talking about it quite a bit of recent. I've posted things, videos on it. I've been getting feedback from friends, and it's a major mind and body transformational experience, the most major one I've ever made in my life, and I did it 49 Sunday 53 Today is day 53 of the transformation, and I did the whole thing uh, on blind faith because my son told me. My son lives in Columbus. Told me he was doing it, and he has found value to it in his life. So I said, "Well, that's cool. I'll go for it." And I got no science on what I was doing, blind faith, but um, my daughter-in-law Sarah is one of the best scientists in the world, and she didn't throw any beware David, Grandpa David, beware David, Grandpa David thoughts. Uh, so essentially, uh, in the old days, 54 days, 55 days ago, I would sleep 6 hours, which has been the average number of hours of sleep I've had for years and years and years. Uh, Pretty much 6 hours. Uh, Actually, as a teenager, it was less than 6 hours. Uh, Fond memories of watching Johnny Carson on the Late Show with Mom at 11:30 at night. It went on to 1 o'clock in the morning, and um, I went to bed. I went to sleep, and to get up at 6. So in those days, Monday through Thursday nights, when most of my high school years, I was getting 5 hours of sleep. Maybe if I'd gotten 6, I would have done better in high school. Ma, what did you do to me? Uh, so went on this. So sleep 6 hours, eat or do whatever I do, and have the opportunity to eat 18 hours. 18 plus 6 equals 24 hours. Well, I try to eat healthy. I know the foods were 92% healthy that I ate. Uh, I ate small portions, never, when I'm cooking, when I'm preparing my food, I never sit down to eat a three-course meal. That's not how I work. And suddenly I was going to take the potential 18 hours of eating and uh, or potential to eat and exercise and do all the other things that we do, and put it into a 6 hour time frame, which I did. And the other 18 hours, I can do whatever I want to do. I sleep 6 of those 18 hours. So for a 12-hour period, I don't, it makes a whole lot more sense. I don't, it's 18. At any, at any rate, I just changed my schedule today for some personal reasons, to modifications, lifestyle reasons. So my 6 hours are going to be from 10:30 until 4:30. At 4:30, I will cease eating until 10:30 tomorrow morning. Uh, in in that period, I can drink water, tea, uh, coffee. I've gotten into tea a whole lot more than I ever have. Here is some cumin tea. Not cumin, turmeric. Excuse me, turmeric. Turmeric tea. I have a cup of turmeric tea every day at some time in the schedule. I knew 30 hours into the uh, actually I've gone over 19 minutes, so if you were, thank you for 19 minutes of your time. If you were only here for 19 minutes, you are more than welcome to stay. Uh, we changed to 10:30 to 4:30. We drink tea, we drink coffee, we drink water. Uh, we might drink some other things, whatever. We don't eat. We don't eat. I knew 30 hours into the whole thing on day two, I knew 30 hours into it that it was absolutely the right thing for me to do. Personally, I have always been a calories in, calories out. I've always had a calories in, calories out mindset. I don't care what diet you pursue because you believe it's going to work for you, or do whatever it's going to do for you, or bring whatever value you think it's going to bring for you. Um, it's a calories in, calories out. So if we burn more calories, if we exercise more calories than we bring in, theoretically, we are going to lose weight. Theoretically, I've always had that mindset. It's pretty simple. It's pretty basic. And with that mindset, it is so much easier for me to monitor my food intake because it's about the first part says calories in. So I'm only measuring calories in a 6 hour period instead of an 18-hour period, potentially three times more. What I and scam, like, why would I want to phone can scam likely? And I hit the wrong button and I answered it. I didn't listen to the scam. Uh, Calories in, calories out. 6 hours of eating in a calorie. Easy to calculate. Easy to calculate because now my mindset is when I consume something, I only consume 100 calories of something, and then I move away. That's the goal. That's the mindset that I've tried to create. And so if I do that 17 or 18 times in that 6 hour period, I've theoretically consumed 17 to 1800 calories. So then I can adjust my uh, workout schedule. I was going to say you could adjust it accordingly, but you should work out every day, regardless of calories that you're counting or not counting. You should work out every day. Let me put a pitch in. Uh, Up until March 3rd, 2020, I was an exercise facilitator, a cardiovascular trainer, and a senior exercise specialist with certifications. Got laid off in the pandemic, and the uh, YMCA Association, where I was a very loyal employee for 15 years and started all kinds of programs for them in the 15 years in the five different Ys uh, there that I spent time in. They allowed my certifications that I was using as an instructor in their facility. They let them expire and they didn't tell me about it. The folks who had the license then told me about it. Your license has expired. What's a 72-year-old to do? So I built a website That's what a 72-year-old is supposed to. I built it. That actually was a website. It started with the web landing page concept. It's a web. It was a web landing page concept, videos, instructions. It's called David's Baby Boomer Bootcamp.com. David's Baby Boomer Bootcamp, and there's a lot of videos where I explain things. I talk about things. Uh, Once I get a different kind of camera setup, I might even uh, uh, do a 15-minute senior exercise routine. I got to figure out how to do that. I don't have the space. Uh, I don't know how I'll do it. We'll figure it out. Maybe I know what we'll do. Okay, figured out. In the next couple weeks, I will create uh, an episode of Dreaming with Entrepreneurs.tv where it'll be a 15-minute dance exercise, senior dance exercise, where I will share things that you should be doing to strengthen your muscles, uh, coordinate your muscles, uh, create balance, something that I'm not doing right now that is absolutely the most important thing a senior can do is be conscious of and maintain good skeletal alignment. All that arthritis that we've had building in our bodies over the years, um, if we have good skeletal alignment, it's not going to bother us as much as it was if we had not so good skeletal alignment. I am the living example of that. I've done some things, and actually in March 2020, my knee was probably in pretty sore, painful shape, and very little pain with some things that I've done. Uh, Exercises. I've actually bought some very tight fitting elastic bands that have worked tremendously well. One of them has support in it, and when I'm going out and walking and moving or riding my bike, I usually wear it because it keeps my uh, knee area positioned the way it's supposed to be, hopefully. So the whole mind and body, it is a mind and body experience. There's no question about it. Another thing I've said forever is that we eat more with our brains, our minds, than we do with what our body actually needs. And it's only when you focus upon that you'll find out what your body needs. To that point, now I have to find out in 6 hours all those things that I used to take 18 hours to find out, potentially 18 hours. And so daily, I have 5 or 6 things that I put out, and I will grab my 100 calories of whatever's sitting out, and that's how I'm eating. And I'm finding I am actually eating less. My average calorie intake for my current program, my current 6 hours, is probably it's got to be 60% less than the calories I was taking in before. And that how can that be a bad thing? And I'm in day 53. So is it for you? Only you can decide that. It's worked extremely well for me. It's a change I should have made a long time ago, but whatever, we didn't, and we experimented, we tested, and it was absolutely the right thing for me to do. Uh, Easier to compute 100 calories times how many times you do it in a 6 period, 6 hours of your life than if you try to take a chart and figure it all out. So that's worked very well, and it's worked for me, and you'll figure out if it can work for you. Uh, there was one other thing. I've talked for a half hour already. We'll figure out after that. We'll pick it up. Oh, I know what it was. I know what it was. Of course, tonight. Tonight at sundown. The Jewish day always begins at sundown and ends at 24 hours later at sunset. Tonight at sundown begins the holiest day of a traditional Jew's year. It's called Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And in that day, we ask God for forgiveness for our sins. And of course, God being the author of life and death goes, good story or not? Traditionally, it is also believed by Jewish folks that the 8 days between the Jewish New Year, which was Rosh Hashanah 8 days ago, and Yom Kippur, which begins tonight at sundown, God decides who is going to live and who is going to die. God being the author of life and death. And it's a pretty simple concept. So you better be on your best behavior when you're atoning, asking God for forgiveness. But there's one aspect of the whole concept of atonement and asking for forgiveness that I know I learned it somewhere along the way. And for the last 10 years, I've been doing it very, very diligently. It has never been done to me. So I'm wondering how many folks actually think about it. But the whole and sin thing, and I sinned against you. I'm atoning for my sins. Please forgive me. I believe, and it's written somewhere in the Talmud. It is written that in order for the process to be complete, the individual who has sinned must go to the person to whom they have sinned against and ask them for forgiveness. That completes the process. It has never been done with me, but I absolutely have done it uh, consistently when I feel that I have sinned against somebody. Living by yourself with your family, living 125 miles in that direction and 600 miles in that direction. It's it's a different world. It's a different world, and to that end, it's going to be interesting to see. Traditionally, Jewish folks fast in this Day of Atonement. The reason being that in our moments of weakness, that's when we can search deepest into our souls to share whatever it is that we are sharing. That's the concept. So traditionally, Jewish folks will not only fast for 24 hours, but most of those 24 hours are actually in the synagogue with ongoing prayers. The well, stopping it in the evening before in the congregation where I grew up, uh, services stopped at 10 or 10:30 the evening before, started up again at 9:30 in the morning, went until about 2 in the afternoon. There was a break at 2, uh, and actually during that break, there's a service to be said in the cemetery, and that's where the rabbi went at 2 o'clock. Went to the cemetery, and then came back for the shoulders and ended the service. And anyways, it's a 24-hour commitment, supposedly to soul searching. Uh, as I fa- well, I as I was thinking about it, I I remembered that I was probably about 12 years old, and I was fasting, and I was in the synagogue in my temple, and it was probably well, it was the afternoon services because there was nobody there, so it was 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and I was sitting in the back section where there were folding chairs, and I fainted, and I caused a little commotion in the area where I was, and Dr. Schwartz, Susan's father, was fortunately in a congregation because he rushed to my side and brought me back to life. And I think he actually sent me home to go drink some water, or sent me to the water fountain up the hallway to drink some water and go home and eat some food. My system was speaking. So it'll be interesting in this year because, uh, well, I will quit my eating uh, this evening. No more food into my body after 4:30. Holiday doesn't begin to until sundown, which is probably in the early eights. Wow, it wasn't that long ago that I was smiling. It was 9 o'clock. It's 9:15. I vividly remember the longest day of the year. Oh, and then it went downhill from there. It will be it'll be interesting to see how my body reacts uh, uh, to the whole fasting situation because, well, in Judaism, when you are fasting, you're not to drink anything, obviously not eat anything. And the fast I've been doing, I've been doing. It'll work out. We'll make it work. That is my commitment. We will make it work. Okay, thank you for your time today. Uh, we have touched a lot of bases and look forward to the next time. Definitely, I will not be broadcasting or posting in the next 24 hours. I do particularly, I mean, I do it a lot in everyday living now, but I particularly enjoy that stepping away from daily activities into another world of what's going on. So it'll be Friday, sometime on Friday. We'll hopefully we'll meet again. Until the next time, which may very well be the best time. Where's the oh, where's the end video? I didn't blow that up. It went on its own. I know because I know I hit that screen. Okay.